Every era has its new diseases. AIDS is not the first and won't be the last. Our history and destiny are shaped by our diseases. The origins of our ills are complex, mysterious, and surprising. And they must be understood if we are to avoid always being plagued.
On a Wednesday morning in October, I received a phone call from the pathologist at Barton Memorial Hospital. And he said, we had a 47-year-old woman die Saturday night in our hospital from a fulminant pneumonia. She came in at 6:30 in the evening on Saturday in severe respiratory distress. They did everything they could. They gave her broad-spectrum antibiotics, but she died 4 hours later. And he said we did an autopsy on Monday. And today, this morning, Wednesday morning, in looking at the cultures and doing smears, we have a presumptive diagnosis of plague and plague pneumonia.
In one of the most developed nations on earth, a kindergarten teacher has died of plague, the Black Death. The same disease which devastated Europe in the Middle Ages is still a threat to us. And then she died. But where did the teacher's catastrophic illness come from? Plague only infects humans by accident. It's actually an animal disease which has found its way into Californian squirrels and chipmunks. And from there, it's just a short jump to our pets.
In talking to the physicians who saw her in the emergency room, they indicated that she reported in the emergency room that she had a cat that had become sick during the week prior to her illness, during 3 or 4 days before her illness, and that this was an outside cat. And about a week before her illness, this cat had brought in a chipmunk, a dead chipmunk. And then a few days later, this cat became ill. And this was a kind, loving woman, and she nursed this cat. So she held this cat that was sick. And the cat, on the Sunday night before the woman's illness, was sneezing, was coughing, was wheezing. It had a discharge from its nose.
That weekend that her cat was sick, she had a family reunion. The entire family was up here, and the cat slept on her daughter's chest that night. She didn't get the plague.
We were really lucky that we didn't get the plague, and her family was very lucky. We were exposed to it. We were all were exposed to it.
There are 3 types of plague: septicemic in the blood, bubonic in the lymph glands, and pneumonic, the most contagious of all, which infects the lungs. Pneumonic plague is what the teacher had. It kills so fast that antibiotics are often useless. And it's spread by as little as a sneeze.
Our anxiety level was very high. We were very worried that we would see more cases of plague pneumonia popping up from those around her, those that were exposed. But after 3 or 4 days went by, then we breathed more easily. But it was a puzzle, and it still is a puzzle. Here we have an infectious disease that decimated populations in Europe. And we have no other secondary cases of plague pneumonia. And so, you wonder, why could that be?
Consider it an epidemic, yet you rarely hear a thing about it. At first, it seemed to strike only one segment of the population. Now, Barry Peterson tells us this is no longer the case.
It was devastating, you know. At that time, I was 29 years old. To be told that I had cancer was just turned me around.
Bobby Campbell is fighting for his life, one of a rapidly growing group whose battle has fascinated and frightened modern medicine. He has Kaposi sarcoma, a deadly skin cancer that first appeared on the bottom of his feet as spots the size of a quarter. There is a 1 in 5 chance a victim will die within the first year of the illness. It's a disease first detected in the gay community that has now spread beyond that. A disease experts are now calling a national epidemic.
There are more lives claimed, victims claimed, than toxic shock and Legionnaire's disease combined. And yet most of the country doesn't know about this cancer.
Why?
Well, I think it's because it's a gay cancer.
It appeared a year ago in New York's gay community, then in the gay communities in San Francisco and Los Angeles. Now it's been detected in Haitian refugees. No one knows why. And in heavy drug users, especially in New York City. No one knows why. And in some people with hemophilia, a disease that prevents blood clotting so the patient needs frequent blood transfusions. Why? At the Center for Disease Control in Atlanta, where 400 cases have been reported, a special task force has now been set up. One possibility, a rare herpes virus may attack the body's immune system, bringing with it the cancer or a lethal form of pneumonia.
By finding the cause of this, we may be able to dissect out that part of the immune system that prevents cancer in general.
Practically a death sentence.
The first time I encountered patients with HIV was during my residency training in Boston in 1985. Most of the patients had very advanced disease. We didn't have any treatment. People didn't make it out of the hospital.
In the late spring of 1981, on my desk was the June 5th issue of Morbidity and Mortality Weekly Report. 5 gay men from Los Angeles, very, very sick with a pneumonia that you only see in people who are immunosuppressed. 1 month later was the second report of 26 individuals, again, curiously, all gay men from LA, San Francisco, and New York, all presenting with this unusual syndrome of not only pneumocystis pneumonia, but several of them had Kaposi sarcoma. And I can remember thinking, my goodness, this is something really new and really scary.
Physicians, even in infectious diseases and in internal medicine, were quite afraid. The first patient that was admitted, the reaction of the staff to this individual was as if he were carrying smallpox.
It was not recognized at all at the time of the New England Journal of Medicine paper in late 1981 for the potential seriousness of what it really was.
It was very frustrating because we were seeing multiple infections in a single individual in a fashion that was just overwhelming and disfiguring. We had to deal with end-of-life issues on a regular basis.